Morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We're learning Mishna Nedarim, Parak Daled, Chapter 4, Mishna Hey, Mishna 5, and today's Mishnah that we learn should be a schus, a merit for Refuah Shalema for Gavriel ben Etel Gita.
Amen.
Okay, Hamudana Mechaveroi, a person who is forbidden to have benefit from his friend by way of a neder. That means, but the neder was that, for instance, Shimon said to Ruvain, you may not benefit from my things. He said benefit, which includes all benefits. And that's what he did, right? There is a person who is forbidden to have benefit from his friend because of an eder, lifnei shvius, in a situation where it's before the Shemitah year. Lo yoyed l'seich sadeyu, who may not go into his field, because if you may not have benefit from someone, you cannot go into his property, because the fact that you're there on his property is considered having benefit, so you can't do that. Nor can you eat from the fruits that are hanging over the edge of the field. Now, so you have, again, you've got Reuven and Shimon. Reuven may not have benefit from Shimon. Now, he's passing by Shimon's field. He's not walking out to Shimon's field. But there are fruits of Shimon's field that are going over the edge. Overhanging. So although you don't have to go onto his property to get them, nonetheless, the Mishnah says he can't eat them. Why? Because they're Shimon's, and Reuben cannot have benefit from Shimon. So very simple. Because the neder says no hana whatsoever, no walking onto his property, and if you don't walk into his property, no eating from his fruits. Uba shvius, but let's say during the Shemitah year itself. Then we say, he may not go into his field, but he may eat from the fruits that hang over the edge of the field. Why is that? Because of the fact that on Shemitah we know the Torah says that all fruits that grow even on private property is hefker. It's ownerless. Anyone is allowed to come and eat it. So therefore, even though because of an eder, may not benefit from you, I'm not benefiting from you when I eat the fruit that comes off your land because, it's not yours. The Torah took it away from you. It's not yours. It's hefker. And therefore, that's not called I'm benefiting from him. Nonetheless, I still may not go onto his field. Mm-hmm. Now, simply put, you can't go onto his field because his field isn't hefker. His field still belongs to him. Mm-hmm. And therefore, if you may not have benefit from him and you go onto his field, you'll be having benefit from him. But this is not so simple. Because, let me read to you what they have here on the bottom, a very interesting point. Actually, according to biblical law, the mudar, meaning the person who may not have benefit, is allowed to go into the madir's field to pick the produce. Right? If I can go, when the Torah tells me that I can, during Shemitah, go eat your fruit, it's not only the fruit that's on the outside of your field, it means I'm allowed to walk into your field to eat the fruit. Which means for the purposes of coming to eat the fruit, your field is ownerless. There's nothing, you have no ownership on that regarding that. The Torah says, I can go into there, right? Whether you like it or not. So the point is, in this, so essentially, even if I'm going into the field to get the fruit, that's not called I'm having benefit from you from being in your field. That benefit of being in your field to get to the fruit, it's not yours for that. I'm allowed to go into that. The Torah allows me to do that. The Torah takes that away from your ownership and allows me to go in. So therefore, if I'm going into the field for the purposes of getting the fruit, there would be no problem, even though the neder was that I can't have any kind of benefit from you. Nonetheless, the Mishnah still says you cannot go into the field. It was actually a fence that the sages made. We're afraid that if you can go into the field to get the fruit, you're going to hang around a little bit. Either you're going to hang around before you take the fruit, you're going to hang around after you take the fruit. We just hanging around? That you can't do. The Torah didn't say it's not his field for the purposes of just hanging around. It is his field for those purposes. And therefore, if you go into if you're in the field for that, it means you're benefiting from him. You're not allowed to. So therefore, the Mishnah said, no going into his field. Don't go into his field even to get the fruit. Because we don't want it to come to a point that you're going to be in the field not to get the fruit, which would then mean that you are transgressing your neder and therefore not going into the field at all. But if the fruits are hanging over the edge of the field, so I don't have to go into the field, there's no problem eating the fruit because the fruit is hefker, it's ownerless, and it's not, and therefore I'm not benefiting from you from eating your fruit. Next case, a little bit of a different case. Nadar heimenu machol. The neder was that he may not have any kind of food benefit. Any benefit that brings to food is something that he made a neder about. It wasn't mudar hana. He's not just, the neder doesn't say no benefit. The neder is specific about food benefit. That's what the neder is about. Okay, if so, lifnei shavius, if it's before Shemitah, you can go into his field. Just going into somebody's field is not a food benefit. And therefore, being that the neder was only about food benefits, you're allowed to go into his field. But you can't eat his fruits, right? Because the neder was because the neder was machal. I can't have any kind of food benefit from him. Okay, so that's before Shvius. You can go into his field, but you can't eat from the fruits. But if it's a Shemitah year, you go into his field, no problem, because going into somebody's field, even if you're not taking the fruits, was not forbidden from the neder, and you can eat. Because since the fruits don't belong to him, they're ownerless, they're hefker, therefore that's not called that I'm getting a food benefit from him, because it's not his fruits. Have a wonderful day and wonderful Shabbos.
Thank you,
Thank
Rabbi.
you, Rabbi.